Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back in War Thunder and I thought we would have a leisurely ride around the Coral Islands map. It seems to me that we've had a map added to War Thunder when it comes to naval, which is generally designed around the idea of smaller boats. And for some reason you can also take larger boats on it, but as you can see, the larger boats don't really seem to be in the best of places. If we have a serious look at the map, it is very obvious the way that it is structured. This is structured to be this size, and then they have added a bunch of stuff around it to try and make it friendlier to larger ships. So, I've actually had a look around this area here, and for me I think it's really fun. You know, there's a lot of small islands, there's a lot of stuff going on. It reminds me a lot of Fiji and the way that map works at lower tiers. And generally, I think that's great. I generally think that Fiji is a really fun map to play, even though there is one side which does have a distinct advantage on it. When I look at this map, though, it also feels that way for smaller ships. But for larger ships, that you see me using right now, the maneuverability aspect is not huge. You can obviously go to these smaller areas, and what they're trying to do, it's very obvious to me what they're trying to do, is they're trying to set up scenarios where the larger ships are forced into smaller corridors, so therefore, you know, the smaller ships can actually deal with them. So this might be one of those ones where it's... Are we going to turn over? This one might be one of those ones where it feels like they are really trying to push the bigger ships that you see, such as that destroyer over there, and the light cruiser that I'm in right now, the Nuremberg, into smaller areas so we can get torpedoed, so we can get attacked. And there is two distinct ways of playing this. So if you want, you can go around the outside. You can fight that way, which is definitely something that can be done. On top of this, you can fight the corridors. You can work all these different ways through these different ideas, and I generally think that's really cool. The one thing I am worried about, though, with this, is there is only one way to stop long-range engagements in War Thunder, and the way to do that is to basically put big rocks or big land masses in front of the larger ships. And that is what we're pretty much seeing here. You know, we're seeing a degradation of the long range, of the long range stuff in favor of smaller ones. And to be honest, as somebody who likes arcade, who likes the fast-paced nature of naval, I'm fine with it. But I'll see a lot of players, and I know for a fact, who won't like this map because of the idea that you are forced into these small corridors in your large ships. One which we are seeing right here, right now, where it seems like there's a large space, but there isn't. The large space does not really exist because of the fact that you have all of these islands here preventing you from going certain ways. And this is a problem that exists in this game in general. The fact that you have a scenario where you want to try and incorporate smaller ships with larger ships, but it is very hard to do because of the fact of the weaponry differences and the armor differences and all of that wonderful stuff. And on this map you can see they're trying to incorporate it, and the way they're trying to incorporate it is by trying to lessen the effect of these larger ships' guns and the calibers of the guns against these smaller boats, which may work. You know, it has the opportunity to work. The question is, will it or not? And my thoughts are, it will work for the smaller ships, but since a lot of the community seems to be obsessed with this idea of larger ships, will it benefit them? And the answer is no, it won't. Instead, what you'll have is a bunch of mini scenarios where, let's just turn that off, where you'll have a bunch of destroyers like this Chadwick here, or Mr. Chadwick, whoever it is, and he's just going to walk straight into a big barrage from a very large ship. If I could, at any point in my life, be able to actually, come on, put the ship down, Turn the guns. There we go. Come on, put him on target, and badoom. And put a big hole in his Clemson. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool what they're trying to do here. I do think it will kind of annoy a few players with it, but for me, I kind of enjoy it. It does get rid of the long-range aspect. I'll definitely give it that. And I know that will definitely annoy some people, because a lot of people like this long-range aspect of the larger ships trying to kowtow and annihilate each other. And that, unfortunately, doesn't really work on this map because of these large islands. So, they're trying their best to try and fit them together. I don't think it's working in this sense. From, as I said, an arcade point of view, if this is just the map for arcade, it's going to be a really fun lower tier map. You can already see with it here. You know, you have small little islands everywhere, you have little shallow areas, you have all of these wonderful things which make it fun to play. You know, little areas to actually corner off, places to torpedo, places to depth charge, maybe once we get mines in the game, somewhere to mine. All of this stuff sounds really fun, but on the big ship level, I mean, there ain't a lot to do. Basically, what you have to do is go in, annihilate or try and annihilate whatever is in the center, and then conquer the other side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go from an actual top-down perspective as well, so I can show you a new aircraft and also show you the map from above, because I think it's really important to do this. And we'll use the CL-13B Mark VI. This is the new German Canada Sabre. It is at 9.3 and it has AIM-9B missiles. The reason why I'm not giving it its own video is because, well, I'm just not interested in it that much. I'm actually, no, you know what, I might give it its own, we'll see. Anyway, let's get it into the battle. Let's actually give it rockets, since AIM-9s won't be very useful against an enemy which doesn't have aircraft. So, the one thing they could do to make it to force longer range engagements is push A and B out a little bit. Like, you could push A to around here, so these two actually meet in the center, or you could push B over here before, if you wanted to do this as a higher tier map. But for now, I think it works well. It means that the center point is where the smaller ships fight against each other. Then you have the larger points, which are in the open, so they, obviously, the smaller ships are going to struggle against it. But look at this center. Doesn't this center look really fun to play? And it looks so well detailed. Look at that. Doesn't that look wonderful? I'm running on high HQTAA, and there's just an airfield in the middle as well. Because why? Oh dear. Fine. But anyway, there's an airfield in the middle, there's a bunch of stuff going on. It just, to me, looks like a really nice, enticing map. And as someone who has talked about in the past my issues with having dull and dreary maps, what I mean by this is a lot of browns, a lot of dark greens, a lot of greys. In this map, what you see is colour. And this is wonderful. So you see colour here. You see colour here, and there's a wonderful contrast between the sand, between the mountains, between the hills, and this is awesome. This is what you want to see, because if you don't see it, instead, you end up with a very boring looking map. You can also see that there are reefs, there are little areas where, you know, you're going to run aground without really realising. Even in the centre of the map over there, you can see them around little islands. So, there is definitely something to do for each person on this map. The question is it going to fix the inherent issue between the larger ships and the smaller ships? Wow. And the answer for me is no. I don't think it will. I think instead what it'll do is just show the thing I've been talking about for a while, how there isn't a fix for it. There isn't a fix of putting these larger ships against these smaller ships. The only way to do it, in this regard, is if you made 2 zones in the center here, and you left the 3 zones over there, which is something you could do, but that wouldn't fix it. That would just mean whoever had more of the larger ships would win the outer battle, and whoever was sat in the center would get dominated and annihilated, which is never fun. It's not a fun situation to be in. My god, look at this guy. Could probably hit him from here. I try my best, but you don't succeed. But you can see the little islands, you can see the airfield, you can see all the stuff going on. And for me, that is the sign of a nice map. The fact that you have these little islands for the little boats. I'm still wondering how it's going to work for the big ones. I think shortening the engagements is not the best idea, but I suppose you could come in the center, and your distances would still be quite high, and you could fire from there. So at least there's some opportunity to be able to do that. But it's not a great one. I wonder if this map could benefit from these islands being a little bit bigger, especially with the destroyers being able to shoot in. That might be another question as well. But overall, does this thing do anything massively groundbreaking? I wouldn't say so, no. It looks very similar to a lot of the other maps that we have, but the general contrast and the environment that they've picked for this one, I am massively behind. It looks a hell of a lot better than the Scandinavian map, which was very dull, which was very dreary, and this one just looks a hell of a lot nicer with a lot of detail. The one thing about these maps is there is a lot of detail on them. The other thing about them is normally they look quite dreary in colour, where this one looks very nice. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.